Hello, hello, and welcome to day 19 of 100. We've made some pretty intense changes. And we are now on the debugging section. We've made quite a bit of progress. I don't think this is going to take too long, but that's what I always say, and then it ends up being quite the surprise for us. So debugging is a valuable and unfortunately necessary tool for programmers. It follows the testing phase of checking if your code works as intended and discovering it does not. Debugging is the process of finding exactly what isn't working and fixing it. After spending time creating a brilliant block of code, it is tough realizing it may have errors. Tell me about it. Oh dear. These issues generally come in three forms. 1. Syntax errors that prevent a program from running. 2. Runtime errors when code fails to execute or has unexpected behavior. And 3. Semantic or logical errors when code doesn't do what it's meant to. Okay, so modern code editors and experience can help identify, I like how they put experience in the brackets. It's like you don't need a modern code editor, you just need experience. Can help identify syntax errors. Semantic and runtime errors are harder to find. They may cause your program to crash, make it run forever, or give incorrect output. Think of debugging as trying to understand why your code is behaving the way it is. Hey, Testosternus. Testosternus, right? How's it going? Did I miss a day somewhere? I thought we were at 17 yesterday. No, were we? Did I not update the video? That would be a bit orkies. No, we were on 18 yesterday. There's 17, there's 18. Yesterday was 18, and today is 19. And either way, I'd know what day I'm on because I started on the 1st of April. So it's like, today's the 19th of April, unless you're like in the future or in the past, where it's like still the 18th. I hope you're well. It's good to have you here. And yeah, I might as well push a plug out. If you enjoy gaming, I am going to be doing a horror stream in about 3.5 hours on my other channel. I think it's linked in the description of my channel. So if that's your thing, you like horrors, I have my webcam set up and all that. It's great to have people come by. But yeah, onward with the code and the debugging now. It's going to be exciting. So example of syntax error, often detected by the code editor. We're missing a C there. To the trained eye, you can just tell. That's a function. Function will not work. Yuck. Function keyword is misspelled, and there's a missing parentheses. So what will usually happen here, it takes you calling a variable. And then you're going to have an error. But, yes, I'm just blind. Don't worry, I've actually done that before, where I've made a mistake and, like, forgot to increment. I think in my logs, because it's, like, kind of hard, you, like, copy and paste the whole time, and then it's like, I actually plan to build a tool this weekend that's going to help me do my logs, because there's a lot of repetitive copy and pasty. So I'm going to create a tool and then hopefully share it with the rest of the community that's doing this challenge, so it's also easier for them. Just like have some form inputs, push a button, generates the code, stick it in your GitHub, boom, done. Here's an example of a runtime error, often detected while the program executes. Function loopy. While true, oh god, there's no break, so it's just going to indefinitely go on. Calling loopy starts an infinite loop, which may crash your browser. Example of a semantic error, often detected after testing code output. Function, calculate area of a rectangle, Width height is the input, return width plus height. This should be width times height. Okay, so that's not really an error. You're just not going to get the output that you want. Let my rectangle equal to calculate area of rect. That will give you 5. Correct syntax and the program executes, but this gives the wrong answer. Debugging is frustrating, but it helps to develop and follow a step-by-step approach to review your code. This means checking the intermediate values and types of variables to see if they are what they should be. You can start with the simple process of elimination. And this is actually interesting because before I started the stream, I was actually sitting there and thinking like parts of my project. If I create like a test case JavaScript file, and what I do is basically have every function and every variable in there, and then firstly check every variable and do a type of to make sure it's what I expect it to be. So this should be a number, this should be an array, this should be a string, etc. And then also do basic test cases. So if I'm going to have a multiplicative function or whatever, have several test cases where I define this is what it should be, then call the function and then compare the two values. And if they're the same, then what I'm going to do is have that output into a HTML file which I can format. So like everything in red, it's going to be blaringly obvious. It's going to be like, boom, this is an error. And then everything that is fine is going to be green. I just feel that it's going to be a lot of work to do that, but at least that's a guarantee that, you know, everything will be fine. Maybe there's an easier way to test everything, but from what I know, test functions, because obviously there's a lot of things that you can test. Negative integers, positive integers, overflows, stuff like that. So maybe if I write a function that randomly inserts values into that function, but you kind of have to build the logic around that, but I guess we'll get there when I get there. And H3, hey! JS, yes. We're still on the JavaScript section. I think it's going to still be a while. I'm giving it maybe 5 to 10 more days. And then moving on to the front-end framework stuff. Good to see you again. I hope you're well, H3. I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm hoping that you've been busy with some projects, or you've been like doing some studies. And Christopherus, hey. Nice to see you again. Testosterone, what a coincidence. I'm currently writing X unit tests for my .NET app. Okay, cool. How does that work, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what's the easiest way? Because the only way how I used to do test cases is, let's say I expect a value from a function. What I would do is have like 5 test cases where I give it different varying values. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, and then also test with negative values. Then I check each one and make sure I'm getting the desired result. But that feels like a lot of effort for just a single function. What would you do if you have like 20 different functions? And obviously you can't just test one thing. You need to test that function in different ways. What if you pass it a string? What if you pass it a boolean? What if you pass it an array? How does it handle things? How does it handle multi-dimensional arrays? It just feels like there's a lot of things to take into account. And how do you actually effectively test that? Or is that just something you kind of just hope it works, and then if it breaks one day you fix it, Like, at what point do you just over debug? So create functionality in app, immediately write tests. Yeah, that's what I do. I always check to see that I get the desired result. But what about things that you don't think of? Like, what if your function just takes integers, but it somehow gets past a boolean? Or what if there's an overflow? What if it can't handle like negative integers because your value is so great that you overflowed? Because I think I'm used to the one language only having int32, was it? So like 2.13 something billion is the max, and anything past that overflows and becomes negative again. So I had to handle that in a very interesting way. Very fun. H3, I've been learning JS a bit and just building some websites. Nothing much. You're learning JS way faster than I do. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I guess everyone does it at their own pace and their own understanding. And one thing I did realize is, when you learn something, quickly go and like use it. Just do anything, something random. Like I was showing you guys yesterday on my one code pen. What was it called again? Dynamic. What was this one? So I learned something about the DOM, and I actually learned something new last night. Like, I'm constantly learning. So I know I showed some of you guys this. It's basically, I wanted a way where I click the button, I can add an element. So if you check in your browser, you're going to see here's a div, It's the container, right? And you see there's a paragraph element. Every time I click add element, it adds a new paragraph element. And if I click remove element, it removes them. If you try to remove the element when there's nothing in that, you're going to get an error. And adding several, you can remove all of them at once. So it was very basic. It was just, you get the document, get the element by ID, our container, which is this over here. And all we're doing is saying, hey, create an element of a type P, so paragraph, and set the node, this is just a random variable. We get the document create text node. That's how we're going to apply the paragraph into it. And with that value, we're just saying a new element appears, and then we make sure if the div, so the container, the children, so anything that falls under that div is a child of that div. So the hierarchy. So let me just, it's better to visualize this for you. But you'll see here, the div is the container, and you see how the paragraph nests under it. So that's a child. The paragraph tag is a child of the container. So all we're doing is saying, hey, the children, get the length of the children. Is it less than our max elements? Because I only want there to be 10 elements. And if that is true, then we're going to append the child, the paragraph, to the node that we created, and then append the child paragraph. And that basically pushes it into the container. And all we then do is update our count, our element count. So that was pretty simple, but the new thing that I learned last night was I'm currently using the on-click event where you could just register an event handler. So I don't even need to do on-click. I don't even need to do it into the HTML. I could just, in pure JavaScript, just register a new event handler, give it the ID that I want to, and instead of on-click, it's just click, and then the function. And that's the preferred way, because then you can have multiple events attached to an object. So a lot of refactoring, but obviously I didn't know that at the time and only learned that last night. So that's what I'm saying, like you learn something and then quickly go and put that to use, just like build something simple. Sorry, it's a mouthful. Yeah, what did I want to say? Forgot what I was going to say now. Yeah, I guess it just comes with time and just build and practice, and the more you do, the more confident you get. And don't be afraid. Like if you don't know something, that's fine. Just do things the way you know them, even if it's like thousands of lines of code. One day you're going to go back and be like, ah, I can do that in like 100 lines of code. You know what I mean? Tester sternness, wrong types will throw compile time errors most of the time. For overflows, I often use try-catch blocks. Yeah, I'm going to learn about that now. H3, I don't find free code camp good for learning for me. I learn more by watching tutorials and building projects along with the person teaching. Yeah, I mean, whatever works for you. Just like stick with it. Some people read, some people watch videos, but I definitely agree that building is a way that you're going to learn. So, my mind's all over the place today. Practical, for me, is always going to be better than theory, unless it's obviously something very specific. For example, doctors need their theory. They don't know what they're doing, you know, and it's a life or death situation. It's a bad time, and you can't really practice on people and be like, oops, you're dead now, sorry. So, when it comes to this, it's going to be way more practical than theory. And, like, I've spoken to devs that have had over 10 years of experience, and they openly admit they still Google. They say you're not going to be able to remember everything. You're going to hold on to the things that you use often, and past that point, you're going to always have to look back on references or whatever else. So don't be afraid to just work with what you have, Google the things that you need, and yeah, the rest just comes with time. So don't be too harsh on yourself is what I'm saying, H3. It will come. Give it time. And yeah, don't base your progress on someone else's progress. You know, everyone learns differently. I think, yeah, there are some sections that I've struggled with that people just like breeze through. I'm pretty confident when I get to the graphs, like Christopher has been doing. I'm gonna like struggle so much there, whereas other things are easy. You know, everyone's got a niche for different things. But yeah, let's get back to debugging. Let's go to the first lesson, shall we? Use the JavaScript console to check the value of a variable. Both Chrome and Firefox have excellent JavaScript consoles, known as dev tools for debugging your JavaScript. You can find developer tools in your Chrome's menu or web console and Firefox menu. If you're using a different browser or a mobile phone, we strongly recommend switching to desktop, Firefox, or Chrome. The console.log method, which prints the output of what's within its parentheses to the console, will likely be the most helpful debugging tool. Placing it at strategic points in your code can show you the intermediate values of variables. It's good practice to have an idea of what the output should be before looking at what it is. Having checkpoints to see the status of your calculations throughout your code will help narrow down where the problem is. Here's an example to print hello world to the console. Console.log hello world. Use the console.log method to print the value of the variable a where noted in the code. Pretty simple stuff, huh? I think a lot of us have worked on this before. So let's go ahead. Oh, hold on. You want me to stick it up there? Cool. No problem. There you go. Oh man. This IntelliSense now kicking in. Cool. Understanding the differences between the free code camp and browser console. Yes, the one that never works because of Babel constantly polluting the console that I can't even read it. You may have noticed that some free code camp JavaScript challenges include their own console. This console behaves a little differently than the browser console you used in the last challenge. I didn't even use the browser console. What were we supposed to? Whoops. The following challenge is meant to highlight some of the differences between the free code camp console and the browser console. First, the browser console. When you load and run an ordinary JavaScript file in your browser, the console.log statements will print exactly what you tell them to print to the browser console, the exact number of times you requested. In your in-browser text editor, the process is slightly different and can be confusing at first. Values passed to console.log in the text editor block run each set of tests as well as one more time for any function calls that you have in your code. This lends itself to some interesting behavior and might trip you up in the beginning, because a logged value that you expect to see only once may print out many more times depending on the number of tests and the values being passed to those tests. If you'd like to see only your single output and not have to worry about running through the test cycles, you could use console.clear. Use console.log to print the variables in the code where indicated. So console.log, so output 2, and console.log output, what's output here?
Deadshot_sin is following the family.
Hey, Deadshot, how's it going? Good to have you. Welcome to the Matrix. And we're going to assume the essay part is. I'm always going to think South Africa, but it could be South America. Or what else could essay stand for? Usually it would be ZA because our country code is ZA. So it could just be completely random, and I could be completely off. But either way, welcome. It's good to have you. Haven't seen you around before. I got one more console log. Output 2. Console.clear. Okay, you want me to use clear there, and you want me to use output 1 there. Cool. Use typeof to check the type of a variable. You can use typeof to check the data structure or type of a variable. This is useful in debugging when working with multiple data types. If you think you're adding two numbers but one is actually a string, the result can be unexpected. Type errors can lurk in calculations or function calls. Be careful, especially when you're accessing and working with external data in the form of a JavaScript object notation, JSON object. Here are some examples using typeof. So type of empty string, outputs string, type of 0, outputs a number, type of brackets, outputs an object, and type of curly braces, outputs object as well, because arrays and objects are both objects. Interesting stuff. JavaScript recognizes 6 primitive, immutable data types: Boolean, null, undefined, number, string, and symbol, new with ES6. And 1 type for mutable objects. Object. Note that in JavaScript, arrays are technically a type of object. Add 2 console.log statements to check the type of each of the 2 variables 7 and 3 in the code. Can I not do this? Instead of doing 2 console logs, from what I remember, can't you just do type of 7, and then you do a comma, type of 3. Can I do that? Yeah, you can. But I don't think they're going to want us to do that, because that's something I learned the other day, that you can have multiple outputs from console.log. You just can separate them by a comma. But I don't think we're going to pass this test, because it might expect 2 console logs. Yeah, and I think it did specify add 2. I was just like amped to actually try it. There you go. This should have been the first they teach you about JavaScript. Yeah, I agree. Like, this should have been part of the basics, right? It's so weird. It's like, thanks, we struggled so much, but we figured it out. I know about debugging, but the catch stuff, I don't know. They should have put the basic debugging in there. That should have been part of basic JavaScript. And then the advanced stuff, like the catch, this should have been here now. I've never used catch before. The console.log and type of methods are the 2 primary ways to check intermediate values and types of program output. Now it's time to get into the common forms that bugs take. One syntax level issue that fast typers can commiserate with is the humble spelling error. Transposed, missing, or miscapitalized characters in a variable or function names will have the browser looking for an object that doesn't exist and complain in the form of a reference error. JavaScript variable and function names are case sensitive. Fix the 2 spelling errors in the code so the networking capital calculation works. Okay, so networking capital, that's fine. Networking capital is networking. That looks fine. What's wrong with it? Oh, you misspelled receivables. Using that variable and payables. Is that good? That should be it. There you go. Run tests. Cool. Catch unclosed parentheses, brackets, braces, and quotes. Another syntax error to be aware of is that all opening parentheses, brackets, curly braces, and quotes have a closing pair. Forgetting a piece tends to happen when you're editing existing code and inserting items with one of the pair types. Also take care when nesting code blocks into others, such as adding a callback function as an argument to a method. One way to avoid this mistake is as soon as the opening character is typed, immediately include the closing match. Then move the cursor back between them and continue coding. Fortunately, most code editors generate the second half of the pair automatically. Fix the 2 pair errors in the code. Let's see. There's the first. You're missing one over there. What else are we missing? You're missing one over there. Is that it? We good? Nope. This is a string literal. That is fine. Previous is not defined. Oh, hold on. This is a... Why do you have another one here? You just need that. That should be it. Cool. Catch mixed usage. When are we actually going to use the catch thing? Because now they're just like telling us how to go and read your code. I thought they were actually going to teach us about that whole catch thing. Catch mixed usage of single and double quotes. JavaScript allows the use of both single and double quotes to declare a string. Deciding which one to use generally comes down to personal preference with some exceptions. Having 2 choices is great when a string has contractions or another piece of text that's in quotes. Just be careful that you don't close the string too early, which causes a syntax error. Here are some examples of mixing quotes. So these are correct. Groucho contraction. I've had a perfectly wonderful evening, but this wasn't it. Quote in string, Groucho Marx once said. Yeah, because you got single quotes inside wrapped by double quotes. This is incorrect. You got a single, but then you got another single here, so you're cancelling that out, and this is no longer a string. And these are strings, but everything between isn't. Of course, it is okay to use only one style of quotes. You can escape the quotes inside the string using the \escape character, which just makes it harder to read. Fix the string, so it either uses different quotes for the href value or escape the existing ones. Keep the double quotes marks around the entire string. But we can't use single quotes because that's the issue. So we have to use like a single quote around it, I guess. Wait, how do we... Oh, because it's... We can't use different ones because HTML requires double. So we're going to have to escape it. So that should be it. Yeah. Doesn't look nice. I would have done it differently, but it is what it is. Catch use of assignment operator instead of equality. So was I the only one that thought that we were going to actually learn about catch? Or maybe it's still coming. Because catch is a thing. It's just teaching us how to read our code and manually debug it. We're not using anything to help us. Oh. HTML works with single quotes, but it's bad practice. Yeah. No, that's why I just said I would rather use double quotes. Catch use of assignment operator instead of equality operator. Branching programs, i.e. ones that do different things, if certain conditions are met, rely on if, else statements in JavaScript. The condition sometimes takes the form of testing, whether a result is equal to a value. This logic is spoken, in English at least, as if x equals y, then, which can literally translate into code using the equals symbol or assignment operator. This leads to unexpected control flow in your program. As covered in previous challenges, the assignment operator in JavaScript assigns a value to a variable name, and the double equals to and triple equals to operators check for equality. The triple tests for strict equality, meaning both value and type are the same. Otherwise, the double just checks for if the values are the same. The code below assigns x to be 2, which evaluates as true. Almost every value on its own in JavaScript evaluates to true, except what are known as the falsy values, false, 0, and an empty string. Nan, not a number, undefined, as well as null. How do we get null again? That's when it's empty, right? Because undefined is a variable that you try to call that you didn't set a value to previously. And null is just if it's empty. I think an array can return null, right? So if an array is empty, you initialized an array but it has nothing in it, that will return null, if I'm not mistaken. And then nan is if you try to take a number and perform any kind of arithmetic operation using a string or whatever is in a number. And undefined is, yeah, like I already explained. Fix the condition so the program runs the right branch and the appropriate value is assigned to result. So not x equal to y, because then you're assigning x must have the value of y. So if x equal to y, let's do like always use triple. Result equal to equal, else not equal, I think that's all. Result equal to come. There we are. Catch missing open and closing parenthesis after a function call. When a function or method doesn't take any argument, you may forget to include the empty opening and closing parentheses when calling it. Oftentimes, the result of a function call is saved in a variable for other use in your code. This error can be detected by logging variable values or their types to the console and seeing that one is set to a function reference instead of the expected value the function returns. Yes! The amount of times that I've done that and it returns the entire function and I'm like, what? That's amazing. That is something that I did realize. The variables in the following example are slightly different. And this is why they are. So function, my function, return you rock. var1, you're calling my function, so you're calling it as is. It's equal to a function. Where my function, so when you set var1 to my function, what you're basically telling it, if I'm not mistaken, is you can call var1 and pass in something, and it will call my function. So when you call var1, you're actually going to call my function. So if I call console, oh, it's already doing that. Yeah. Fix the code so the variable result is set to the value returned from calling the function. So we just do that. And there we are. Catch arguments passed in the wrong order when calling a function. Continuing the discussion on calling functions, the next bug to watch out for is when a function's arguments are supplied in the incorrect order. If the arguments are different types, such as a function expecting an array and an integer, this will likely throw a runtime error. If the arguments are the same type, or integers for example, then the logic of the code won't make sense. Make sure to supply all required arguments in the proper order to avoid these issues. Right, but if they're all numbers, I don't think it matters if they're all numbers. What do they mean here? If the arguments are all numbers, it won't matter what order they're in, because in the function, you're gonna use each parameter in a specific way. I'm going b times... Oh, actually it does matter, I just realized now, yeah. Because it's, yeah. Okay, never mind. The function raised to power raises a base to an exponent. Unfortunately, it's not called properly. Fix the code so the value of power is the expected 8. So b to the exponent of e. So this needs to be 3 as the base, 2 as the exponent. Wait, sorry, I called it the wrong way. I don't need to change the value, I need to change base and exponent here. Enter the base, give the exponent, and that's how you get power. Boom. Catch off by 1 errors when using indexing. Oh, catch off by 1 errors. Oh, is that a thing? It's called OBOE. I thought it was array index out of bounds or something. Isn't that the error that you get? If I go I equal to 0, -1, doesn't it give you an error usually? I thought it gives you an error. No. Off by 1 error, sometimes called OBOE, crop up when you're trying to target a specific index of a string or array to slice or access a segment, or when looping over the indices of them. JavaScript indexing starts at 0, not 1, which means the last index is always 1 less than the length of the item. If you try to access an index equal to the length, the program may throw an index out of range. Yeah, that's the one. Reference error, or print undefined. When you use string or array methods that take index ranges as arguments, it helps to read the documentation and understand if they are inclusive. The item at the given index is part of what's returned, or not. Here are some examples of off by 1 errors. So alphabet.length, I equal to 0, loops 1 too many times at the end. Console.log alphabet I. Because there's 27. But it's going to loop 1 final time because you start at 0. Whereas you technically want to start at 1. Let me just make sure. $26. Wait, there's 26? I always thought there was 27. Ah! Why did I think there was 27? To give something else now. So there's 26 characters, the length of this. Yeah. Whereas if you started at like 1, yeah. Okay. For let j equal to 1, j less than length. What is length now? Length is alphabet.length, 26. Loops 1 too few times and misses the first character at index 0. Yeah, that is the issue. For let k equal to 0, k less than length. Oh, that would have been fine. You did the less than equal to. I didn't realize that. I would never use that one. K less than length. Goldilocks approves this is just right. Console.log alphabet k. Fix the 2 indexing errors in the following function so all the numbers 1 through 5 are printed to the console. Okay, where is your issue? This should be 0. This should be less than. Wait, when I said less than equal to, it still goes to 5? 1 too many times. There you go. Use caution when reinitializing variables inside a loop. Sometimes it's necessary to save information, increment counters, or reset variables within a loop. A potential issue is when variables either should be reinitialized and aren't, or vice versa. This is particularly dangerous if you accidentally reset the variable being used for the terminal condition, causing an infinite loop. Printing variables values with each cycle of your loop by using console.log can uncover buggy behavior related to resetting or failing to reset a variable. The following function is supposed to create a 2-dimensional array with m rows and n columns of zeros. Unfortunately, it's not producing the expected output because the row variable isn't being reinitialized, set back to an empty array, in the outer loop. Fix the code so it returns a correct 3x2 array of zeros, which looks like that. Okay, so our issue here that. So over here where we return, where m I think it's I that's not being reset. Is it I that needs to be reset? That's usually what I do, is I reset the I's or like the incrementers. I'm just gonna check, because obviously I didn't write this code, so now to try and figure out what's going on. It's not I. Oh, I'm not even in the loop, hold on. Uh-oh. I just created an infinite loop now, I just realized. Reset, 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 reset. Because the row variable isn't being reinitialized, set back to an empty array. Oh, the row! Why was I thinking of M? At the end. And it can't... in the outer loop. This is part of the outer loop. But then that doesn't give you the 3-dimensional. At least it's not showing as such. It's weird. I expected it to show with the brackets around it. I don't want to open up the, hold on. Just want to see what it looks like. I guess it's time for Pepega. It's a bit early for it, isn't it? There it is. Why doesn't it show it like this? Why doesn't their console show it like this? It just shows it all as if it was a single array. Yeah, you must look at the dev console. The FCC output is garbo. Yeah, I agree. That's why I always come to CodePen. The thing though is I can't open this console. I don't know if you noticed before, but because of all the Babel stuff that keeps popping up, now it doesn't seem to be, but I think you've seen it before. It makes it really hard and like freezes. Go. Off we go. Preventing infinite loops with a valid terminal condition. Time for Pepega. The final topic is the dreaded infinite loop. Loops are great tools when you need your program to run a block code a certain number of times or until a condition is met, but they need a terminal condition that ends the looping. Infinite loops are likely to freeze or crash the browser and cause general program execution mayhem, which no one wants. There was an example of an infinite loop in the introduction to this section. It has no terminal condition to break out of the while loop inside loopy. Do not call this function. Run tests. It's the programmer's job to ensure that the terminal condition which tells the program when to break out of the loop code is eventually reached. One error is incrementing or decrementing a counter variable in the wrong direction from the terminal condition. Another one is accidentally resetting a counter or index variable within the loop code, which I did earlier, instead of incrementing or decrementing it. The myFunction function contains an infinite loop because the terminal condition I not equal to 4 will never evaluate to false and break the looping. I will increment by 2 each pass and jump right over 4 since I is odd to start. Fix the comparison operator in the terminal condition so the loop only runs for I less than or equal to 4. I less than or equal to 4. Console.log still going? There you go. Can I run it now? You know, I'm actually very upset now, I'm not gonna lie. That was a waste. I knew all of that. That was a waste. Unless you guys enjoyed that. I expected them to teach us about catch. What the hell? So misleading. Catch, catch, catch. Am I expecting too much? Now I have to go Google it myself. Try, catch, throw. Here, quick, Christopher's catch. This is what I expected them to teach us. This is debugging. So I noticed that they use ERR in the catch, but ERR isn't defined anywhere. How does that work? Is that just you give it a name? Is it the same as arrow functions? Is it linked to the try? So you just give it a name and then you use that as the error message inside? Is it like the input? Try catch has nothing to do with debugging, it's for error handling. Debugging, error handling, same thing. I would have put that all in one section. Because it also helps you find code that's not working the way you think it would, which is debugging in a sense. Let's say I put in a boolean or whatever, you know what I mean? Yes, okay. Definitely gonna have to come back on this at some point. Oh, error.name, so you can get the name. Interesting. Cool. So, introduction to the basic data structure challenges. Yay, data can be stored and accessed in many different ways, both in JavaScript and other languages. This section will teach you how to manipulate arrays, as well as access and copy the information within them. It will also teach you how to manipulate and access the data within JavaScript objects, using both dot and bracket notation. When you're done with the section, you should understand the basic properties and differences between arrays and objects, as well as how to choose which to use for a given purpose. I can see how this should have been before ES6, right? Wow. We've already done this. We've already gone through arrays and objects, and we struggled our asses off. But it's good to have a refresher, am I right? There's a huge difference between debugging and error handling. I'm sure, but I'm thinking of it more in the sense of not from the user's perspective, but from your perspective when you're trying to actually test your code and you want to use a catch. Instead of getting a generic message, you can actually specify what is going on. I like that about try. And then finally, you could still run something regardless. I need to play around with that. So, let's go to the first lesson. Use an array to store a collection of data. The below is an example of the simplest implementation of an array data structure. This is known as one-dimensional array, meaning it has one level, or that it does not have any other arrays nested within it. Notice it contains booleans, strings, and numbers among other valid JavaScript data types. All arrays have a length property, which as shown above can be very easily accessed with the syntax array.length. A more complex implementation of an array can be seen below. This is known as a multi-dimensional array, or an array that contains other arrays. Notice that this array also contains JavaScript objects, which we will examine very closely in our next section. But for now, all you need to know is that arrays are also capable of storing complex objects. So there's our array, and then there's an array. So there are two arrays in here, with two objects inside each. We have defined a variable called yourArray. Complete the statement by assigning an array of at least 5 elements in length to your array variable. Your array should contain at least one string, one number, and one boolean. Okay, one string, Christophorus, number 13, true, can't forget potatoes, and 27. How about that? Oh, I'm gonna get tripped up with Python and JavaScript now. In Python it's capital, in JavaScript it's lowercase. Wow! That's gonna be fun. Access an array's contents using bracket notation. The fundamental feature of any data structure is, of course, the ability to not only store data, but to be able to retrieve that data on command. So now that we've learned how to create an array, let's begin to think about how we can access the array's information. When we define a simple array as seen below, there are 3 items in it. Okay. In an array, each array item has an index. This index doubles as the position of that item in the array, and how you reference it. However, it is important to note that JavaScript arrays are zero index, meaning that the first element of an array is actually at the 0th position, not the first. In order to retrieve an element from an array, we can enclose an index in brackets and append it to the end of an array, or more commonly to a variable which references an array object. This is known as bracket notation. For example, if we want to retrieve the A from our array and assign it to a variable, we can do so with the following code. Let our variable equal to array 0. Our variable equals A, because that's the 0th index. In addition to accessing the value associated with an index, you can also set an index to a value using the same notation. Not B anymore to array 0, so array 1. B will say not B anymore. Now equals A, not B anymore, C. Using bracket notation, we now have reset the item at index 1 from B to not B anymore. In order to complete the challenge, set the second position, index 1, of my array to anything you want besides B. Second position. Okay, so 1 equal to Batman. Add items to an array with push and unshift. An array's length, like the data types it can contain, is not fixed. Arrays can be defined with a length of any number of elements, and elements can be added or removed over time. In other words, arrays are mutable. In this challenge, we will look at 2 methods which we can programmatically modify an array. Array.push and array.unshift. Both methods take one or more elephants. Haha! Both methods take one or more elephants. Oh god! Now I'm actually saying... How many elephants does it take, guys? Let's try that again. Both methods take one or more elements as parameters and add those elements to the array. The method is being called on the push method, adds elements to the end of an array, and unshift adds elements to the beginning. Consider the following. Christopher's didn't get a deja vu yet? Yeah, we did this in the basics. They taught us about shift and unshift. Just different, like, part of it. It's like 2 different people wrote it. Fun stuff, right? Notice that we can also pass variables, which allows us even greater flexibility in dynamically modifying our array's data. I feel the basic one that we did was kind of rushed, and this is like all geared to objects, so it should be the better version. I think they should have removed it out of the basics one and put the debugging in the basic, and then have this as like the second or the third one after basics. We have defined a function mixed numbers, which we are passing an array as an argument. Modify the function by using push and unshift to add I, 2, and 3 to the beginning of the array, and 7, 8, and 9 to the end, so that the returned array contains representations of the numbers 1 to 9 in order. Virani, hey! It's good to see you back again. Back to arrays, yeah, as Christopher was saying, we're having deja vu here. We are doing the basic data structures, which was after the debugging, after the what was it? Thingy regex. And they had some of this in the basic JavaScript, so a little bit of repetition, but I mean it's not that bad. It means we can like completely cover it. They altered the matrix, now I'm stuck in an infinite loop. We have defined a function mixed numbers, here it is, which we are passing an array as an argument. There's the array. Modify the function, that function, by using push and unshift to add I, 2, 3 to the beginning of the array. Of what array? The array. Okay, so shift pushes to the end. So we're gonna need unshift. Array dot un. You know what's funny? I don't know if they're going to expect us to be using loops now and stuff because of how far it is. How does unshift work again? Because now I'm going to have to go and remember, because it's been a bit of a while. You need the variable or the array, and then unshift. This adds new items to the beginning of the array. Oh, what the fuck? Don't tell me they're gonna need us to use something like splice or like whatever to... Oh, wait, sorry, I didn't read, guys. It's giving us 4, 5, 6. We have to find a function which will possibly modify the function by using push to add to the beginning of the array. Oh, that's easy. Why didn't you just... I was expecting something complicated. So what do you want at the beginning? At the beginning you want... Hold on. You want this at the beginning. And you want this at the end. Is that literally what you want? So I'm creating a static definition inside of a function, which is very bad. I thought that they had an entire array from 1 to 9, and it was jumbled up, and I had to get the 1 to 3 in the beginning, the 4 to 5, 4 to 6 in the middle, and the 7 to 9 at the end. But apparently it's way more simple than I expected it to be. So 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Hold on, why am I using unshift? I need push. Why am I using shift? Push. Push! There you go. What is shift? Is shift oh, wait. Unshift is to put something in the middle. Shift is to take it. Sorry. Unshift is put something in the beginning. Shift is to take it from the beginning, right? That's unshift. Where's shift? Or is shift... Oh, there's shift. Shift is remove the first item. Yeah, cool. But I think we passed. That was way more simple than I thought it would be. I thought it would be more complex. Remove items from an array with pop and shift. Both push and unshift have corresponding methods that are nearly functional opposites. Pop and shift, as you may have guessed by now, instead of adding pop, removes an element from the end, and shift removes an element from the beginning. The key difference between pop and shift and their cousins push and unshift is that neither method takes parameters, and each only allows an array to be modified by a single element at a time. I'm just going to add this to my notes quickly. Coding. Those are like the basics that you want to have down. Okay, and then you got push and unshift. Just want to make a note of this, and I'm good to go. Done. Let's go. Let's take a look. What's up, hello, Sia. Greetings.pop, that's going to remove Sia. What's up, hello. Greetings.shift is going to remove what's up. So it just says hello. We can also return the value of the removed element with either method like this. Greetings.pop returns hello. Greetings now equals empty. We have defined a function, pop_shift, which takes an array as an argument and returns a new array. Modify the function using pop and shift to remove the first and last elements of an argument array and assign the removed elements to their corresponding variables so that the returned array contains their values. So pop equal to array, array.pop. Shift equal to array.shift. Challenge complete. That was cool. Remove items using splice. Okay, so we've learned how to remove elements from the beginning and end of arrays using shift and pop. But what if we want to remove an element from somewhere in the middle? Or remove more than one element at once. Well, that's where splice comes in. Splice allows us to do just that. Remove any number of consecutive elements from anywhere in an array. Splice can take up to 3 parameters, but for now we'll focus on just the first 2. The first 2 parameters of splice are integers, which represent indexes or positions of the array that splice is being called upon. And remember that arrays are 0 index, so to indicate the first element of an array we would use 0. Splice's first parameter represents the index on the array from which to begin removing elements, while the second parameter indicates the number of elements to delete. For example, array splice 2, 2, let me guess, it's going to start from not, and it's going to remove not and so. Remove 2 elements beginning with the third element. Array now equals today was great. Yeah, so I was right. Splice not only modifies the array it's being called on, but it also returns a new array containing the value of the removed elements. Interesting. We've defined the function sum of 10, which takes an array as an argument and returns the sum of that array's elements. Modify the function using splice so that it returns a value of 10. Before I do that, I just want to make another note here. Notes are very important. Cool. Modify the function using splice so that it returns a value of 10. So what do we got? 251521. It's got 16. So what do we need to remove? The 2's and the... What if we remove like the 2's and the 1's? That's what I was thinking. Is that the only way? And they're using an arrow function. Interesting. This is going to be annoying. Because how do I have to have multiple splice? Array.splice splice 0 1. But how do I get the others? Don't tell me the answer can't be multiple splice, can it? Oh, you can remove 5 and 1. I wasn't thinking of that, yeah. Because then it's Yeah, I would have gone the long way. Sorry, I didn't see that. Good point. So 1 and 2. There we go. So that will remove these two. Why do I always go for the complicated stuff? Why do I like specifically want to go and make my life harder? Get that one and that one. Is there a way to like skip between them besides using like a for loop or whatever? Is there any way to get this one and this one and this one and this one? I mean, I know there's lots of ways. You could literally split it up and then remove all instances of like 2 and 1, but specifically with splice. Because splice only takes 2 parameters. The index, and then how many from that, including that one, do we remove. But yeah, that was the case. Add items you can add items using splice? Remember in the last challenge we mentioned that splice can take up to 3 parameters? Well, we can go one step further with splice. In addition to removing elements, we can use that third parameter, which represents one or more elements, to add them as well. This can be incredibly useful for quickly switching out an element or set of elements for another. For example, let's say you're storing a color scheme for a set of DOM elements in an array and want to dynamically change a color based on some action. Array index new color, splice index 1 new color. Oh, so you find index 1, well, you find whatever index is, 1 of, and then change the new color. Interesting. That's cool. This function takes an array of hex values, an index at which to remove an element, and a new color to replace the removed element with. The return value is an array containing a newly modified color scheme. While this example is a bit oversimplified, we can see the value that utilizing splice to its maximum potential can have. We have defined a function HTML color names, which takes an array of HTML colors as an argument. Modify the function using splice to remove the first 2 elements of the array and add dark salmon and blanched almond in their respective places. What is up with these foodie names? So array.splice, and you want me to what again? Modify? Yeah, remove the first 2 elements. So start at index 0, 2, you want dark salmon and blanched almond. What? Oh, what's with the quotes then? They have quotes. Are they just showing it for emphasis? So no quotes. There you go. What's up with the spaces? No spaces? There you go. Cool. That should let us pass. Nope, apparently we won't pass. What in the actual potato salads is going on now? What do you want? HTML color should return. Oh, is it because... oh, it's an array. Do I have to actually like add it in array format? I already thought it was in array format. That can't be it. Also, what's funny here is it's not showing in quotes, but in their one it's showing as it should return as quotes. How does that work? Is it because of the console now? Oh my god. It's their console, how does that work? How did they manage to do that? So we're actually going to need quotes. I see what the issue is. So I'm going to have to push an array. Interesting. Unless there's another way to do this. No, that's going to create a multi-dimensional array. Okay, so I was right. You start with an array. It is an array already. The FCC output is garbage, don't rely on it, right? That's what was tripping me up. I was like, look, you see this, right? There's no quotes. I have to use this one. But you see, because of all this Babel stuff, it spams you. Okay, I'm confused. Splice can only have 3 parameters. 1, 2. If I add another comma here to separate this, is that going to still work? Wait, does it accept multiple commas afterwards? No way, why didn't they teach us that? They didn't specify anywhere. It said it's got 3 parameters. I assumed the third parameter has to be all-inclusive. So every other parameter after the third parameter is going to be what you want to add in that place. Man, they didn't tell you that. Good thing I have my notes. Cool, there we go, we got the output we want. Thanks for not telling us. Appreciate ya. Copy array items using slice. The next method we will cover is my home slice. Rather than modifying an array, copies or extracts a given number of elements to a new array, leaving the array it is called upon untouched. Slice takes only 2 parameters. The first is the index at which to begin extraction, and the second is the index at which to stop extraction. Extraction will occur up to but not including the element at this index. Let weather conditions, okay. Today's weather condition.slice 1 to 3. Today's weather equals snow and sleet. I thought that the second parameter is the start from where you initialize the start. If 1 is snow, we're going to start here. I thought 3 is from snow to sleet to hail. Because it's 3. 1, 2, 3. They should have done it like that. The start is from the index that you initialize it at. So instead, it's you start at snow, but then slice starts at 0, 1, 2, wait, what? So how is slice 1 to 3 snow and sleet? How is that possible? How? That's incorrect, right? Shouldn't it be snow, sleet, hail? 1, 2, 3? What am I missing? How is it only snow and sleet? I guess there's one way to test, right? Come on. Snow and sleet, what? So I've got it wrong. The second parameter stops at 3 but doesn't include 3.
Oh man, that's confusing as hell. They should have had it include. Up to and including. Why would you stop at 3? And not include 3? What was the whole point of defining 3? Then... What? I can see why you said it's dumb. So when you say 3, you're going to go to 3, but you're going to stop at 3, but you're not going to include 3. Oh man. Let me change my notes. Okay, so I just want to confirm something. The second parameter, is it how many elements from the index? From when you start, or in general, from the array's index? If that makes sense. I guess there's one easy way to check, right? Just check my code. Nah, I figured it out, don't worry, Christopher. I was trying to figure out the second parameter. Does this index start from the index that you defined here in the first parameter, or is it from the index of the entire array? And it seems it's the index from the entire array. So 2, 1, 2. Wait, what? Then why did we only get snow? Where the fuck's rain? Why didn't it include rain? Oh, we started at 1, that's why. I'd have to change this to 0. Then we get rain and snow. Back to my notes. Okay, so you can use splice where the first parameter is the index to start after, and the second parameter is how many elements from the array index. Not including there we go. There are some new array methods. There are? What, in ES6 or something? They didn't cover that in ES6. ES9. Oh, okay. Yeah, the advanced stuff, huh? Okay, let's continue. Forecast should return warm and sunny. Now that we understand this better, we're gonna dot splice. We're gonna what do you want? Warm and sunny. That means start at 2 and take 3 if you want 2. It's like 3 minus 1. But what, now it works? What the? Why is it working here? So if I want warm and sunny, it's 2. Oh, because it's 0 indexed. Is it 0 indexed? 1, 2. Why didn't that work earlier? If I start at rain and I want 2 from rain, I should get rain and snow. Oh, I do get rain and snow, never mind. You're using splice, not slice. I'm so confused. What have I... Splice. Splice. Slice. Slice. I'm so confused. What is splice? Where did I get splice from? So I need 3. This is the one I need 3. I need 4. What? Oh my god, so this is the one. Yo. Splice seemed to work perfectly. Whatever splice is, that seemed nice. The splice was from the lesson before? Okay, how does slice work now? What the what have I been writing? Pop and shift, I've got that. And I've got push and unshift, I've got that. You can use splice. Did slice just come up now? Jeez, they could have mentioned that. That is like such a... No, I know it's not a hard subject. I just didn't realize it changed from splice to slice. They're very like similar. Where are we? That was splice. Oh, okay, so we were doing splice the whole time. This is slice. I want to use you learning reduce. I've done reduce already. Joke's on you. Haha. I'm so confused. What did I write now? So this is slice. So it was splice before. Okay, so it was splice before. So change this back to splice so I can understand how splice works. So splice, you set the index you want to start from. And then I want the first 2 elements. I'll get rain and snow, right? So then the first 3 elements is rain, snow, and sleet. And then if I add a final one, it's like pepperga, and it's gonna put pepperga there, right? Oh, it doesn't put pepperga in? That was split. I'm gonna lose my mind now. There wasn't a split, was there? There was a splice. What am I using? Splice. Splice mutates the array that you're using it on. Slice doesn't. Okay, so splice, that's what I'm using. So why didn't pepperga go there? 0, 3, and then put a pepperga in. Why is there no pepperga? I gave you the index to start at. I told you for the first 3. Do I have to like specify pepperga 3 times because I removed 3 of them if I want them to be modified? Is that the reason? No. Doesn't change it. What am I missing? Because we did this last lesson. It returns rain. What was so different in their one? Why am I not able to add items? Index? That's what I was logging, wasn't I? Oh, sorry. Yeah. I see what you mean. I'm setting a variable, but I'm not calling the value of that. There we go. We got Pepperga as the weather conditions. Okay, so splice is the one I like. Slice I don't like. Splice is set the start, and let's say I'll start at 1. 1 means start at snow and give me snow plus sleet. That should be 2. Am I correct? There we go. Splice works. Splice is nice. I like splice. Let me go change my thing now again. Did you already learn for each and map? Kind of in year 6 I had to use them. Not really. So. Okay, now that we know that it's slice, cool. I mean splice. Now what is slice? Could they not have named it something different? Jeez. They could have said something, yeah, slice, unlike splice, doesn't modify an array, copies or extracts a given number of elements to a new array. Okay, so splice edits, slice doesn't edit the array. Okay, yeah, as you said, I'm gonna make a note there. There we go, made a note. They should say here, not to be confused with splice. By the way, we are not on splice anymore. Okay, now that I understand that. Now we understand it a bit better. How does it work? Takes only 2 parameters, not 3. The first is the index at which to begin extraction. And the second is the index at which to stop extraction. Extraction will occur up to, but not including the element at this index. Let's add that in. Perfect, my notes are clear now. Okay, now that I understand that, you want me to get warm and sunny. So we start at 0, 1, 2, and we want... Wait. The first is the index, and the second is the index at which to stop extraction. Okay, this is what I was confused at. You know the previous one, splice, Christophorus? The second parameter is based off of how many positions from the first parameter. So if you said 2, it's going to start splicing from 2 plus however many you specified, correct? How does slice work? Is it the same? Or does slice you have to specify... Well, I guess we could test and see. The way that our ticket would work is... We want 2, so that means 3. So 2, 3. Okay, so it doesn't work from the position of the first parameter. It's based over the entire array. So 0, 1, 2, you want from 2, 3, but it's not going to go to 3, so 4. So 2, 4. Stops at the array index. Right, okay, yeah, because it's not mutating it.
There we go. Cool. Done. Sweet. That makes more sense now. But very inconsistent and confusing syntax, yes. I guess it makes sense, because since you're not modifying or changing the array, you're giving it a start and an end point. So that makes sense once you get it. It's like start from here and end here. But yeah, it is inconsistent between the two of them. But we know now. Copy an array with the spread operator. Ooh, we covered this a little bit. While slice allows us to be selective about what elements of an array to copy among several other useful tasks, ES6's new spread operator allows us to easily copy all of an array's elements in order with a simple and highly readable syntax. The spread syntax simply looks like that. If you want to copy an entire array, why can't you just say array 1 equal to array 2? Won't that work? In practice, we could use a spread operator to copy an array like so. That array, ... this array. To the logs! Look, it's exactly the same. It makes a reference, not copy it. Oh, so does that mean you use like less data or whatever, less memory, whatever JavaScript uses in the heap, was it? So it only makes a reference. Oh, so you're saying if I change this, oh no, it will still be updated for both of them, because it's a copy. What's the difference? Sorry, explain it to me. When you now change one element in my array, that also changes this array. Oh, does it? Where'd the other stuff go? I just shifted it. Where did the other stuff go?
Make, not plus. What? How am I converting it to a string? I'm used to always putting information in front plus whatever the value of my array is. Is that the wrong way to do it? I've always done it this way. That's weird. Is it just for arrays? Okay, there we go. I gotta remember that. Wow, thanks. Oh. So I link them together. My array is equal to this array, but when I change my array and shift it, so it links them when you do it like this. I had no idea. That's crazy. This should only affect the last one. No. Wow. Learned something new. That's crazy. Cool, that's something new. We have defined a function copy machine which takes array as an array and number as a number as arguments. The function is supposed to return a new array made up of num copies of array. We have done most of the work for you, but it doesn't work quite right yet. Modify the function using spread syntax so that it works correctly. Hint, another method we have already covered might come in handy here. With spread you can make a copy, but it's only a shallow copy, so if there are arrays in your arrays, they will be saved as reference to. Only the first level gets truly copied. With spread you can make a copy, but it's only a shallow copy, so if there are arrays in your arrays, they will be saved as reference to. Only the first. Okay, so what you're saying is if I have a subarray in another array, I change it there, in my spread copy, that subarray will be changed too. As in it will be linked. The only one that won't be linked is the first level, right? So do you have to spread those as well to get a true copy? Wow, they should have changed it so that it fully, you know what I mean, copies it differently. That's weird. What do you want me to do?
supposed to return a new array made up of number copies of array. So we have to use new array. This freaked me out at some point, yeah, I can imagine. So I'm supposed to put number in the array, right? I guess I can use dot push. That gives us 2, 1. What is the number for? That's the array. What's the number for? The function is supposed to return a new array made up of number of copies. So we have done. We have to find a function which takes an array and number as argument. The function is supposed to return a new array made up of number copies of array. I'm so lost right now. I'm sorry. Whatever they were trying to teach us, I'm gone. I'm not following at all anymore. Where do you want me to use the push? How do you want me to do the numbers? My brain just... I do not follow anymore. Another method we have already covered might come in handy here. I know we've covered splice, split, push, pop, shift, unshift. I know all of those. I don't get what you're asking me to do. Do you want this? If you say true, false, true, 2, you want me to duplicate it twice. How do I duplicate it? How do I put 2? I wish they would tell you must use loops. Then I know, okay, I need to use loops. Oh, there's a loop. It is a loop. I didn't realize I am in a loop. Okay, good. Cool, I get that now. New array. Oh, you need to have it together as one. Can I do plus equal to? No, I can't. And it's not even giving me an error. Why doesn't that console work? What did I do wrong? I need to use a spread, but the spread is not working. Now how do we duplicate it? Plus equal to? Have to put a comma in afterwards. Do I need another array in the array? Nope. You need to make a copy of the input array with spread and then push this copy to new array. You need to make a copy of the input array with spread and then push. But I didn't say we can have multiple variables, so you're saying I could just make like let copy equal to. You're saying I could do this because they usually want a one line. But now we don't know what kind of dimension it is. Is it multiple? It's not the right. It should return that and that. Do I have to put it like this? Does that work? No, that's just going to put brackets around the actual value. You want a single array. It must be a single array, first of all. And now we've got two arrays. It needs to be a single array. It was right, you're just reading it wrong? Really? How was it right? I thought there's two arrays. Look, 0 and 1. Oh. 0 and 1. But where's the actual index? You know what I mean? These are sub-arrays of the array. I expect... Yeah, but I expected to see a 0 up here. Or maybe that's just me. I get these are children. Where's the parent? I expected to see them in the parent. Is that the parent where it says array? What's the 2? Oh, the 2 is probably the amount of children inside of it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So then that should be it. So I got confused where I guess I had to make a copy. I'm used to always solving it in one line like they want you to. Can I technically do it in one line? Can I do new array equal to array dot push That doesn't work. You can also write it on one line. That's what I'm trying now, yeah. Equal to new array dot push. Unless it's... So we get that. But how do I duplicate it now? Is that where I have to do plus equal to? But then it's like, what's going on there? Or is that just their console? No, it's not an array anymore. This is not right, because we should have two instances. We only have one instance here, Christopher's. You had it right before. You mean when I added the plus equal to? Like that. But now there's no comma separating it. When you check, it's no longer an array. It's a string. What do you mean way back when I had it as new array.push? Look at your old syntax and simply replace copy with what copy was assigned to. So we still need new array.push and whatever was inside copy. I think that was the issue. I figured out what the issue was. I was putting it in brackets, but then I realized spread takes the entire one. That's what the issue was. No, but now I have array 6. Hold on. Oh, what happens if I do it like this? Oh, that's what I needed. Sorry, I needed the brackets. So now it is one line. New array.push array spread. Yay! I'm happy now. I think I was getting confused here. Their output, yeah, sucks ass. There's a command palette? What? I didn't know there's a command palette. They have like a built-in IntelliSense. This almost looks like VS Code stuff. That's cool. Yay! Okay, I'm gonna have to probably get going now. Get ready for my Freak Out Friday stream. Let me just see how far we've gotten. Yeah, we can get the rest of this done. But that was fun. That was exciting. What's that face for, Christopher? Is that for the Free Code Camp console complaining? We learned quite a few things today as well, again as usual. Exciting. I'm gonna use this somewhere. I made my notes, so that was fun. Ugh. But thank you to everyone else that came out. New faces again, that's always exciting. It's just amazing how we just managed to attract new people, so that's really awesome. Thanks to everyone as usual, all the regulars and the people that came out. We had H3, haven't seen him in a while, and Virani, as always. I know Esfaka, I think it was. Seen you around. And yeah, Christopher, as always. Like, what would I do? It's not Free Code Camp, it's Free Code Camp featuring Christopher's that makes everything so much more worthwhile. I really appreciate it. And yeah, if horror is your thing and you like watching people get freaked out, then be sure to check out my channel tonight at 7 PM GMT +2. So literally in, what's that? Just under 2.5 hours? No, just under an hour and a half. No, an hour and, can't math right now, 48 minutes. No, an hour and 58 minutes. In exactly an hour and 38 minutes. Oh, I forgot about Testo Sterner. Sorry, you've been so quiet, like you were there in the beginning. You have been here, sorry. There are a few other people, and I should mention all the other people that I haven't mentioned that have been here, because obviously I don't pay attention to the actual lurkers, because unless, you know, I actually check my Twitch chat, so I'll generally remember the people that have spoken in the chat. So, of course, poor Sterner. Sorry, I've not forgotten about you. We'll even make a alert for you. Why do I want to alert? Look, we've even broken our alert for you. Never forget the testo sternness. There you go. See? You will never be forgotten now. You're forever immortalized in the code. So like I said, I'm gonna go get ready for my Freak Out Friday stream. So if you guys are into games, you're into horrors, or you just want to see me get freaked out, you're more than welcome to come join on my other channel, which is twitch.tv/deadmano. There's a link in my description. And it'll be cool if I saw you guys there. If not, I hope you guys have an incredible start to your Easter holidays. Hope it's going well, whether you celebrate it or not. Generally, it's a public holiday. It is here. So I hope you guys have fun, eat lots of chocolates and all that stuff, and I will see you on the next stream tomorrow for the coding stuff. So yeah, bye for now.